welcome to Mini Stories, where we will be listening to Reddit stories. I, 39 female, can't see my husband, 42 male, the same anymore after his reaction to a very serious issue. How do I handle this? I'm going anonymous for privacy reasons, although I'm not too active on here. But this has been one of the most stressful and confusing moments in my life and in my marriage. We've never had issues like this. A short backstory for context: husband and I have been married for 13 years. We have a 13-year-old male and 2-year-old female. When I was pregnant, we decided to hire a nanny. We both work very demanding jobs and wanted our young daughter to have personalized attention at home. This was a serious thing for us. We went through a placement agency and found a perfect fit. A more young girl, 23 female at the time, 25 female now. She has become like a second daughter. She's so much like our little daughter, sensitive, playful, and very sweet. She also appears younger than what she actually is, and our daughter has taken to calling her Sissy. Our little girl is extremely attached to her, more so than me at times. Things were well for these past 2 years that she's been with us. Because it is summer, our son is at home for most of the days unless he has soccer, piano lessons, or is hanging out with his friends. Our daughter goes to her grandmother's 2 times a week for half the day, and during this time our nanny is free to do whatever she desires. However, if son isn't at lessons or the like, she has to stay at least 15 minutes in the area if he's at home/in the neighborhood. The problem didn't start until about a week ago. I noticed our nanny acting a bit strange. She became less talkative, a bit distant, and really only solely spoke to our daughter with warmth. This isn't usual for our relationship, professional, but relaxed and open. She lives with us during the weeks when husband and I have travel, late nights, etc. There's a night nanny who takes over most things around 6 p.m. during these times, otherwise she's off at 6. So we've gotten comfortable with each other. It was important to me for it to be like a home to her, because it is her home too when she's there. She lives in the duplex, which is like her own apartment when off duty for her privacy. So I started to become concerned after the week passed, and she was still acting strange. I asked my husband if he noticed anything or had an idea about anything that could have caused her sudden change in behavior, but he was just at a loss than I was. On Saturday, when she was out of the house, her off days are Friday to Monday, my son approached me in a very flustered state. He was nervous appearing about something, and I had a strong feeling it was about what I had been suspecting. I was right in the most unfortunate way. He told me that he had done something wrong. I asked him what. He hesitated for a while before telling me. He told me that a little bit ago, confirmed, about a week ago when this started, when he came back from soccer, he saw our nanny in her room undressing. Baby sister was napping during this time. He said that she saw him after a while, and was frozen for a moment, before telling him to leave and slammed the door. I asked him if he looked away when he saw her, but he said that he wanted to, but he couldn't. I'm not going into more detail. He found her beautiful, she is. I knew he had a crush, but he always kept it under control because he's a respectful boy. That's how we raised him. When I asked him why he decided to tell me now, he said because he felt bad and didn't want the nanny to think he was weird or disgusting, or for her to tell us something that wasn't true. I told him I appreciated him telling me, although I was very upset. I said I would need to speak to his father about what to do next. It made sense then why our nanny's behavior changed. I felt so ashamed. My husband was shocked as well, but his reaction wasn't what I expected. He said that it shouldn't be surprising that he wasn't able to look away, he's only 13, experiencing puberty, she's beautiful, etc., but that he wasn't blaming her, but that for both their sakes we should just let the matter go to avoid unnecessary tension in the house. I told him that literally none of that mattered. I understand he's only a child, but that doesn't mean we make excuses for what he did and not address it. That there needed to be a consequence. I suggested for son apologizing to the nanny, which husband thought wasn't the best idea, but first I needed to speak to her. This morning I spoke to her. Her reaction broke my heart. I'm fiercely protective of my children and would defend them to the ends of the earth, but when she told me the reason she didn't tell me was because she didn't think we'd believe her, or that she would have been fired, my heart literally broke. I should have closed the door all the way. I should have heard that he came home, our door chimes when opened. I don't know what to do. I told her that she's safe, absolutely not getting fired, and that our son had admitted. But now she's not comfortable with him, and feels ashamed of it and having feelings of disgust toward him because of him being a child. Although she doesn't nanny him like our daughter, she still was around him for 2 years, driving him places and interacting. I told her that for now, just focus on our daughter, and I would arrange for our son to get to where he needs to go by other means for the time. So this is where I'm at. I don't want this to become us versus her or anything. My son is not a bad child. I do believe he genuinely feels bad. He's never been disrespectful towards the nanny before, but I am a bit hurt by his actions. It scares me, as he's entering his teenage years. But the main problem is my husband. He completely wants to rug sweep this. Anytime I try to suggest how to repair, he shuts down. This morning he literally told me, "Would you just let it go?" It was like a slap in the face. We're supposed to be a team, parenting our children together. Him as father plays a big role in our son's development through puberty, and I wanted us to be on the same page about this. A consequence. A serious talk. Not rug sweeping. I look at him in the face and am seeing a different man. Why is he acting this way? What about our nanny's feelings? I know that I'm going to have to put my foot down somehow, but I don't want this to seriously impact our marriage. But I have no idea how to approach this with him. Edit. I've been advised by a few people to do this. I want for clarify. The peep in question was not merely a few seconds or 10 to 15 seconds. He stood there for at least a minute and watched her undress all the way down to her underwear. He admitted this. At first it was accidental, but then he kept seeing different parts of her body and was curious to see more. He sounded disgusted when he said this. He's not a bad boy. But it was leering. Which is where the guilt comes from. I avoided getting into detail because I didn't want potential creeps getting pleasure or people imaging an inappropriate situation between the two. My apologies. I posted a few days ago about an issue involving an extremely inappropriate behavior by my son, and how my husband and I were at odds with how to handle it, which was creating relationship issues between us. I'm not really sure why it got removed, and this update might for some reason, but I want to reiterate, my original question was about how to go about things with my husband, not specifically my child. I understand, however, given the context that people would comment on the situation with him/nanny, as this information was needed to understand the situation between husband and I. I appreciate the perspectives given that weren't blatantly sexist and victim blaming, along with the people who did understand my feelings regarding my son's inappropriate behavior. This update is a bit of a mixed bag, with both positive and a bit of not so positive things, but first, actual update, I wanted to give a conclusion to the people who were wondering how this situation would be resolved. Like I said, my main concern was about my husband shutting me down, dismissing my feelings, and neglecting what I felt like were his parental duties as a father. He also told me to just let it go, and was intending to sweep this whole issue under the rug, and was against making our son apologize at all. However, as mentioned in the previous post, he did agree later that night to have a chat with me after all. So we did. And I found out some not so flattering things about him after 13 years of marriage. He did apologize for how he shut me down, which I appreciated. But he was still hesitant that anything else needed to be done. I asked him why he believed that. Why he believed that our son shouldn't apologize and if he understood our nanny's feelings. He told me, plainly, that he was having a hard time believing that son really did something like that. That he couldn't really see him as anything but the sweet boy he's always been, even though he's noticed a change in him entering adolescence. I acknowledged his feelings, but ultimately said that this is the reality, this is where we're at, he's going to continue to change, and we need to address it with our son together as parents if we want him to change into the better. And as his father, I would like for him to be a good role model. I told him, again, that son had come to me first with the confession, and I had to basically pry it out of Nanny, who was very distraught. I reminded him of what had happened to me, similar circumstances with being leered at unknowingly while naked, and how it affected me. He knows, because I've told him before, and he was very empathetic. But he said that this was different. I asked how. He said that with me, it was a guy around my age back then, and Nanny should allow herself to be so affected by such a young boy. I was stunned by this. I asked him if he cared at all about how she was affected. He said that of course he did, but that telling him to do anything other than quite literally, say sorry to your nanny, was too much. I couldn't believe how dismissive he was being then. It's not typical of him at all. I made up my mind what I was going to have to do, even against his wishes. I thought of our daughter and our son, and the type of message I want to model for them, especially our little girl, who will be growing up in a world that still has a lot of extreme and shameful views on women, as I saw in some horrible ways on my last post. Before talking to Sun, I spoke privately to the nanny again and told her about what we were going to do, and if she was comfortable with it. She said she was. I asked her what could we do to help her be more comfortable. She asked about having a few cameras in her duplex. I agreed. I also suggested putting one in the main hallway of our house, where the bedroom doors are. She goes there a lot when she's in the baby's second room, which is near my son's. I also asked her if hiring a personal driver for Sun would be something she was okay with, until she felt comfortable again. She said it would. I made sure to reiterate to her that her safety and comfort was a priority, and that we were going to have a discussion with him. So we talked to Sun the following evening. We stressed to him that what he did was very inappropriate, and that he owed Nanny an apology. But I didn't want to make him apologize. I wanted to see what his true feelings were, and his views on certain things. If he'd been influenced at all by something, or someone. I could tell my husband was frustrated with this part. When I asked Sun how he would feel if he found out a boy had done that to his sister one day, or me. He said he would feel angry. I told him that it had happened to Mum before, and how I felt, without excessive detail. He was surprised, and didn't know how to respond to it. I told him that regardless of Nanny's age, she's a person, a mum's daughter, her parents' baby, his sister's sissy, and that adults aren't immune to the impact of certain behaviors just because they were done by a child. I hope that husband took this to heart too. I then told him how it made the nanny feel. She gave me permission too, if I felt it was appropriate. That she loves his sister very, very much, but felt for a moment that she couldn't be comfortable anymore in the house. That she had briefly considered taking leave, and was afraid of being fired because of what he might have tried to say happened that didn't. He said that he was afraid that she would make him out to be a creep, so that's why he had said he was afraid of what she might say when he confessed to me. I asked him how he thought his baby sister would feel if her favorite person had suddenly left because of an intentional action he did. Knowing our sensitive little girl, I knew she would be sad and scared, and this is what he basically said. I was trying to encourage empathy and critical thinking, not directly shame. I believe he took to heart what I said. I told him we want him to apologize. He agreed on writing a letter, per a few people's suggestions, thank you. After the talk, my husband wanted to talk. He was not happy with how I went about things. He felt as if I was too hard on him, and made an already awkward situation even more awkward. Wasn't the camera and driver enough? I asked him if he felt like not addressing it would make it less awkward, and what exactly I said that was so wrong. He couldn't exactly answer. He just said that after a week or so, he felt as if things would calm down. I basically had to tell him that I was not going to be permissive about this type of behavior, and if he was, then I would continue being hard on him. Nanny read the letter and appreciated it. She spoke to our son and said that she's not upset at him and won't treat him differently, but that she still feels uncomfortable and hurt by what he did. That she hopes that he won't do that to any other girls/women. He told her he was sorry, and she just smiled at him. So that's it. Things between them won't go completely back to how they were before, but Nanny is not holding a grudge. With the new accommodations, I can tell she feels a lot more comfortable, and Sun has been advised not to speak vulgarly about her to his friends or the like. I checked his photos on his phone too, just to make sure because of a concern Nanny had told me, but it seems like husband and I still have some work to do. His views on this topic were quite shocking. He's not rude or dismissive towards the nanny, but I don't really think he was looking at this from a fair viewpoint. I think he's having a hard time accepting that our son is changing, and will continue to change, and with that will come more behavior that he might not be able to believe. But I'm proud that I stood up for myself and my values, and will be on low alert for any other questionable beliefs my husband might show in the future, but I think he is already starting to see what it is I truly mean. Regardless, I will continue to correct any behavior like this, even if I have to do it alone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe.